Ahora sí nos movemos al siguiente punto en la agenda, que son las bylaws.
We're moving to the next item on the agenda of bylaws.
¿Cuáles son los, cómo se dice bylaws en español?
I don't know. No.
Reglamentos.
Reglamento
Todos los
de
estatutos del
Sí.
concilio. Gracias.
Lo que son como los
Sí, las
norms,
reglas.
los reglamentos de las reuniones de los concilios, el concilio de aquí.
cómo se organiza el concilio. Como, sí,
Okay, so bylaws. So where do you guys wanna go? Just go through these?
I
and
will
then-
present a motion to adopt the original bylaws we create for 2024, 2025, and were generated by the council.
So can I ask you a question?
You wanna speak?
I'd rather ask my question first of all.
Let me go to the discussion.
I second the motion.
Okay, open for discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
So the motion that's on the table is to approve this first page.
This one that we work on it, yes.
Okay. In addition, we'd have this too? No.
Esa es la que se,
I think this is to help template if we were gonna get into a discussion to change the bylaws. Cause I think these are generic bylaws. I don't know who created these.
they were drafted by LSC Relations and the Law Department
So these
based
are
on,
generic based on.
So
on
we,
this.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We could, you want to approve these and then add amendments later? Is that what we're doing?
Ella quiere saber si están aprobando esas y
I
añadir
present the
más.
motion to maintain
Leyes
the
de
one that
cómo
we
se-
worked
no
on
sé.
it, and we decided, some of the LSC members worked on it and decided to keep them.
And after we approve these, do we make a motion for amendments after that?
No, we just, no.
So here-
So the motion is for this. So if you are not for this,
La
you
moción
vote
la
no.
moción es por eso.
Because that's not what you want, right? You
That's
want
what
to
we
see some
discussed last
amendment, is what I get, right? So this is not the one you want to vote for. She just made a
Anualmente
motion
cada
to vote
concilio
for this.
vota sus estatutos con los que se va a regir. Esto es muy generalizado, esto es algo que ya trabajamos, que trabajamos algunos miembros del concilio
So we're open for
anteriormente
discussion, right?
y nada,
Of that motion.
ya.
Okay.
Y yo acabo de presentar una moción para quedarnos con estos estatutos,
Esta es la única, esa sí fue otra
porque
recomendación.
esto ya se trabajó anteriormente por los concilios por los miembros del concilio. Y esta segunda hoja, esta fue propuesta por la entidad que es relaciones de los concilios, y es una entidad de CPS. Entonces ellos quieren que adoptemos esto en lugar de esto. Y yo propuse esto. Entonces esa sería la moción ahora. Pueden votar a favor, en contra.
Porque
o
esta es
abstenerse.
genérica.
Pues más bien esta es la que las relations quieren que el concilio adopte.
No, ella presentó la moción para esto, ahora estamos en la sesión de hablar y se va a cómo se sienten las personas, preguntar cosas.
Comentarios, preguntas.
So I think it's really important that we add a Google Meet for various teachers want to participate. I think we can get more community involvement by making a Google Meet so that it's out there, just like CPS does for all their meetings. There's a Google Meet, and I think it's just that important that we add that. So that we can include more people and generate more interest, and with enrollment being down, as a parent, I would come to an LSC meeting if I was interested in seeing, if that was a school choice. That's
But I think that is something that we need to ask.
I just believe that sometimes when you're on Google Meet as a parent, when you're home, you turn on the laptop and you go and do what you have to do while the meeting's just rolling.
agree with that.
I have to make sacrifices for my son to Uber it from his fire police academy just to be here. So I think it's fair that whoever is really interested is present. I understand we all have personal lives. My belief is if you're interested, you show up.
Ella está diciendo que
That's my personal, you know.
si quieres,
I take my,
si quieres
my
saber,
little
pues,
one. I
si
have to
quieres
take
saber lo que
them
está
to
pasando,
you know, babysitter,
es
right?
necesario físico
So I
estar
just
aquí,
think that,
pues
you know,
tenemos que estar aquí.
Yeah, I understand.
Ella está
But as a
opuesta.
teacher too, and a lot of teachers are
Yo voy a
interested, you're asking a lot for the teachers to, you know, a lot of us come here at 7:00 in the morning. They are truly interested in being part of it, but, you know, they would really benefit from being at home and getting in the meeting, you know. I make the sacrifice, and so do these people, but I think there's also people who would like to be a part of it, who can't make it for good
so then it would
reasons.
be okay for me to just say, okay, let me not be present because I work at 7 in the morning. I'm not trying to, you know,
No,
Ella está diciendo que
let me not make it to the meeting
que-
because I start work at 7
tú
in the
estás diciendo que
morning.
yo tengo que estar
I
aquí
still have to
porque
go home, do
no
my
hay
stuff,
maestros, ella dice
and
los
it's
maestros
okay to
trabajan
just
siete, y ella dice,
not
pues,
be in the meeting.
so si
Can
yo
I
te
say
hago
something?
decir, yo no puedo
and
hacer
that's
nada.
something we have to decide. I just think it's.
Is that gonna create something with the council for us to also be at home too? And not have this kind of,
I don't think the council members.
We
should be
can't.
able- No,
We
the
have
council
to be
members
there.
would have to be here. This is just.
No,
this
but,
is just-
but I will argue, right? Because then to that point, I'm very busy. I could take this call or I could do the Zoom from, right now, I rushed and was late because I was coming from City Hall. I could have easily gone to a neutral room at City Hall, right? And done the Zoom call and get home when I got home, right? So I get it, and Cassandra, I don't know your feelings.
With all due respect to everyone, right? I just feel like I've been on this council for a long time. And I have, anytime there's a hot topic, right? Even though the luxury of when we're talking about Google Meet, but when there's a hot topic, right? And it pertains or it can be in favor of something, this room is at capacity. Right? So I feel like every meeting is just as important as that hot topic. And when you're involved and you want to be involved, then you should make effort, just like we all make sacrifices to be part of the council, right? Because we're all tired. We all got up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, did what we have to do. I have a family at home. We all are making the sacrifice. And like, I'm sorry, I forget your name. I'm so sorry. You can easily put open the screen and you're gonna walk away and not really know what's happening and you're just gonna be a number on the screen and you're just gonna say, you know what, yeah, you know, XYZ joined the meeting and just to say these people joined. No, I believe you need to be in person unless you really have a condition where you're homebound, and that would be a special accommodation.
Or an emergency.
Or an emergency, or you're sick, right? Yeah.
I did Google
I
Meet
get
for my
it.
first time, you know, last month, and it was very hard to hear for one. It was hard to concentrate because I had my dogs and my kids and everything. So I think meeting in person is just.
But I think it's fair that Ms. Dunn, right, she's advocating for the school, the teachers, right? And that's the school community she's advocating for, right? And parents that may wanna join. What I say is that if the meeting is too late, right? Then we need to look at, you know, when we're organizing these meetings, to organize them, you know, and it's harder for us, the parents, right? Because we also have jobs in organizing it with, you know, it's at a dismissal time, right? Or at a time that they're already in the building, so kind of we're all merging together. That's something that we should consider, right? When we talk about the time. You know, Ms. Dunn, I've shared with this council, you know, what Google Meet has done to this council in the past, right? And Cassandra is right on point. When it is a hot topic, it got full, right? And it got full, right? But we never had that relationship building of seeing those folks, right? That had an important voice in the room with us, building that relationship, having a dialogue after, right? And that's the relationship that we need to build, right? Because, you know, there's tension in the council, right? We talked about this, right? And from the last meeting, I went to local school council relations and I asked for mediation, right? Because there needs to be a third party that comes in and works with us, right? As a council, as a school community to kind of pass, right? Whatever issues we still continue to carry. So for myself, I hear you, right? I want to engage more with the teachers. I want them to feel they have a voice in us. But I don't think Google Meet is that way.
But I don't think it's just for the teachers. Google Meet should not be just for the teachers. It's just as Divine was just telling us. Students also like staying here until like 7:30 just to come here and to like talk for like 2 minutes. That's a lot of time that we have to spend because we're here from like 8 in the morning and then we have to stay here until
Dice que los
7:30.
estudiantes tienen que estar ahí,
It's
pero
like
quedarse hasta las 7:30 para
inconsiderate
los
in a way
estudiantes.
because again, we're listening to you guys speak a lot. Like if we're in the public, like we're listening to you guys talk and everything, and that time could be useful for the students too because they don't only have like school, they also have school work and then after school activities.
Diciendo que los
And having to
estudiantes
stay
tienen
here for
varias
that
cosas
long,
que hacer
it's
después de la
just-
escuela, o sea, es difícil
I
para
don't
que ellos
think
se
it
queden.
would be like, I don't think it would be considerate if we took off the Google Meet.
And also on that note, like just using, not to be rude, but just using the response of like, oh, if I can be here, then you can be here, that's kind of ignorant per se, because they're coming here for public comment. What's the difference between them sending a letter that somebody could read aloud, than them just being on Google Meet, say what they have to say, and then get a response from us? There's no difference. It's not hurting anyone. There's kids that I know that literally travel more than an hour and a half to get here.
Dice que hay estudiantes
And
que
if they're
viajan
meeting at
una hora
7:30, they'll be
para
here
llegar a
at
la escuela,
9.
y que
Like,
por
is that
eso
safe
es,
for a freshman to be there?
But we do public participation very early
ella
on.
dice que hacemos
So the student
participación
doesn't have to
pública.
stay or whoever's participating
Right.
doesn't have to stay. They are able to leave, right? So we have been sitting in these meetings and I love the fact that we have student voice, but the student voice is not coming to the meeting,
But I think that
right?
is
So
our
we need to make sure
responsibility.
that we are getting the student voice to come to the meeting.
Dice que es importante que hagamos.
And
So we're saying,
I
we're
think,
here, we want them to show up too.
I think us sitting here though is our responsibility.
Ella dice que estando aquí somos responsables como estudiantes, estamos tratando de explicarles.
So I think that the needs should be still a thing because again, this is not their responsibility. And if they want their school to be better, that should be on us because we're the ones deciding at the end of the time. Also, I don't feel like we give a response as needed because a lot of the times when the students come, they just say what they want and then they have to wait a while to get the response. So then what is the point of them coming to waste their time and just getting the point across and yet not being listened to or heard?
Yeah, that's why you're here. You're their voice and you are to hold the principal and this body accountable. To
Me
make
dice
sure
que
that
tú eres la
the
voz
student
y estás aquí para
That's what we're
asegurar que
saying.
nosotros somos responsables. porque
I
tenemos
think
que
we are discussing this situation, but I think it's important to hear what CPS says about it.
So a couple of things, why, like, what I deal with the Google Meet and people ask like with social media. So understand that once we go with the Google Meet, people have used the videos and the Google Meets to make fun of your families and the students, our faces. So please know that once we go live with a Google Meet or video, that means you guys are subject and it's protected under the First Amendment right. So has been past practice during the COVID when there was video and audio where you're going to be tweeted about and you're fair game because you are a public body and anything, and your families are open to that kind of scrutiny too. So just know that that's why there's certain members that no longer want to stay here because as sitting here through that era, their families' backgrounds were exposed on Twitter. And so just know that the moment we go live with all of that, you're subject to being open and there's nothing I can do as the school principal because it's protected under the First Amendment and that goes for everyone.
Yeah.
Which is, I've dealt with that during the first year in terms of I've tried to advocate like, hey, like this is not like really like that. You're putting that and I've been told that there's a higher standard for what is considered because we're public bodies, we're held to a different level of standard when it comes to like harassment, the definition of harassment.
We can be harassed.
We
So-
got no rights.
We have, yeah, so please note that your parents, anything that you say, anything that you are, you will not be, like, there's nothing I can do to take it off. There's nothing that I can do to remove a video. There's nothing that I can do to take down your relative's criminal record. I can't do anything. Just know that's one way that it was used. And so that's the only reason why people ask is because, like, when we had the Facebook, the fights were being reposted and reposted in the school website. And so I went to the law department. I was like, we have students, technically you have minors fighting, and according to First Amendment right, trumps a lot, right? And so I said, okay, fine, turn it off. If the student's social emotional well-being is not going to be factored into like certain decisions, I understand. But because I have these students in the building, and just because of what their parents did doesn't mean that they should be scrutinized for their parents' backgrounds. Like, that's not fair to our students who have to see their parents' rap sheets on the school, on Twitter, Facebook, on the school profile. So I said, absolutely not, because that's not, but it's a First Amendment right. But that applies to you guys too. So I need you to understand that, yes, it's great that we can elicit, but just know that as a principal, if we do decide, if the majority votes that, and something is posted, something is said, if your image is distorted on social media, if something is, I can't do anything because you guys are a governing body and it's a public body and it's Open Meetings Act. And so just know that those are some of the things that have to be factored in terms of the element of opening it up to the public that route. So just understand that is a reality, and just know.
Could we do audio only?
It's the same
It would go
thing.
to the law department now after that.
Can we ask if it can just be audio and then would
Okay, I
people
will
be
say
okay with
something just for the
audio?
record. Okay, I understand there is, concerns that I myself being disrespectful with teachers or comments and stuff like that. I've been ridiculized for my accent, right? They are being my child voice, face, and everything used in social media, right? Something like a parent doesn't like to see. I've been discriminated, very discrimination against me, in comments that I don't really like to see, right? And including I have received DCFS in my household for somebody that says something here in the school. And because I'm here and I'm sitting in this meeting and I'm advocating for education and something fair for all of you, right? I'm not planning to stop that, even though my English is not perfect, even though I know I'm putting myself in a difficult situation, because I know there is somebody who FOIA everything and everyone and everywhere, and I know this person can bring a lot of stuff that I don't, who like not to be seen in public, but there's nothing that I can do about it. And that is not going to stop me from continuing doing what I'm doing, right? Because I believe at the end of the day that kids deserve better. In our community, doesn't matter our income, deserves better. And that's why we are all sitting here. I'm so glad to see this council full now. But I think that the work we had in front of us is not only one-way respect, should be two ways. And I have heard before from teachers that I'm not qualified to run the meeting. My English is bad, awful, and things like that. And I have to take it. And I have to continue to be respectful, but that's okay for other people not to be respectful to my person. So I think it's not fair. I think us as adults has to make the difference, and it has to start from us here in this table, making that change to change the culture in the school. Because as far as I heard outside, things are not so bad at all. They are good teachers. They are people who's really committed to make that change and to help our school. But we are not agreeing in everything, and that's what the problem comes. We are in two different sides. We are not in the same page, and we are not working for the same thing. And that's the part as adults we need to work on it. So I hope this change the culture of the school. I really hope that having a full council membership will help us to move forward. And instead of seeing dropping in enrollment, we see an increase in enrollment. Because actually our enrollment is being affected and is going to continue to be affected while we are presenting when we are presenting this image that parents against teachers, teachers against parents, right? So I think that's something that is in everyone's hands, and we can do it together if we want to. And we have reached 2 hours
But you
later,
have an open,
so we can continue. Go ahead, Mr. Woody.
Two quick comments to say. First comment, I think we're conflating two things that we need to keep separate, and I understand the impulse to do that. In my opinion, we should use Google Meets, because we are a public body using public funds at a public
el link para público para
The
proveer
problem
acceso.
with that, and I agree with
Y el
everyone here,
problema
we
es, él
can't
dice que
control
él
people's
sabe, él
commitment
dice
to
que sí
being,
es verdad todo lo que estamos
we
diciendo.
can't control them putting, God knows as a teacher, to
Dice
recall,
que no podemos
putting
controlar lo
their
que ponen afuera,
icon on the screen and walking away.
que no podemos controlar lo que
And I
hacen
agree.
con la,
I don't like that
cuando
behavior.
están adentro de la junta.
It's not respectable behavior.
Y saben que a
But we're
veces
still a public body.
dice que
using
sabemos que va a
public
haber
money
acciones
at a
respetuosas,
public
pero
school.
somos un,
We're a public institution.
somos un
And
cuerpo
so we
público.
need to be transparent.
Dice
I
que
think
tenemos
we
que
need
ser
to have Google
transparentes.
Meets, and that bad behavior that comes with it and the lack of commitment that I agree. I'm here all the time.
Dice que
You guys are here all the time.
estamos
But that's a little bit of the price you pay being a public school,
comprometidos
using the money
a
of people
servir.
in this
Él está bien
neighborhood. So
comprometido
we
porque
need to
siempre
be
está aquí.
transparent, and I agree. I wish people behaved differently. But we can't conflate the fact that we are a public school using other people's money that they pay in
Sí, hay
taxes.
varios que no.
You
No
can't conflate that with the fact that some of those same people are not going to behave the way we wish they could behave. That doesn't mean we get to shut, we're public. That's just it.
Es que,
The city is, you know.
es que tenemos,
The second thing I would say
que atacar.
in terms of all the hateful behavior people have done and the names and the faces and all that, I completely agree. But we have all chosen to join a public body at a public school using public funds. With that comes risk. And the fact is, it's unfair. It's completely unfair. We have chosen, however, to be here and to assume that risk and to live within a certain measure of unfairness because we use other people's money to serve our kids and buy things with it. And unfair as that is, and God knows, again, Ms. Dunn and I have experienced the brunt of the utmost unfairness. We are still here. We understand that risk. And I agree with what everyone said here, but I can't change that. That does, I wish we could do whatever we want with other people's money. But we can't. We're beholden to them because they own property in this area and they gave us the money. And they need the opportunity, whether they take it or not, and whether they're committed or not, they're allowed rightfully the opportunity to do what we do. And so I think there should be a Google Meets. And I would encourage those people to behave nicely. They're not going to, always. I encourage those people to be here. They're not going to. We're here. And I agree with your comment. We need to stick together. And that's just what comes with being a public school, using public money for the public. That's the trade-off. That's and so I think we need to have Google Meets to allow people to see how we're operating with their hard-earned money.
Okay,
So you have a motion on the table. You
I have
to
a
vote-
motion.
Vote on that motion. If that motion doesn't pass, then they can make their amendment.
I'm really sorry, I gotta make one last one, it's totally separate. Public comments will be included in the minutes. Shasha Ford said that's
Yes.
not best practice. We used to do it, she told me not to do it, so now we don't do it. I don't know if that's something we need to talk
Parece
about.
los comentarios públicos, no.
And I would like to suggest that anyone who does public comment, whether in person or from outside, I don't know if we can do this or not legally or whatever, they need to put their name on it. I don't want to hear any anonymous, hey, here's a Gmail that was made up 12
But
minutes
that's what it
ago.
says,
Yeah.
remember?
And you'll get
We
in
said
trouble in your Google
That,
Meet
that's
when you
what
don't
we
read that
decided,
letter.
remember? You add that part.
Which part?
So think about Google
You
Meet.
said I was
including-
okay to use the name,
If you get that letter and you don't read it because it doesn't have a name, then you get in trouble, because that would be recorded.
Fair enough then.
Ella dijo
Okay,
que si
so
ella no lee lo que tiene que
I
ser.
have a motion on the
Estamos
table.
grabando.
We're gonna close the discussion and vote on those ones.
Vamos a,
So if
como ya
you-
tienen la moción presente.
If you agree, disagree, or abstain, it's up to everyone.
So
So
the
puedes-
motion in the table is to approve the bylaws as is, because they did, in public participation, they gave a recommendation, in the discussion, they have another recommendation. But because there's a motion, she has to go through this motion, and then if it doesn't pass, then they could propose their motion of the Google.
So
To add
close,
Google. You follow?
Did you guys hear that?
close
Vamos a tener que votar sí con el moción
and roll call
con
for vote.
¿sí o no?
You guys understand the vote?
So they're voting and the way it is without the Google Meet.
So estamos
And
votando
then if it
sin.
doesn't pass, they'll make another motion.
No, they are talking.
Okay.
I want to make it. Yeah, so we're waiting for Mr. Wood.
Just to make sure the motion.
I did the motion and,
To approve the bylaws.
Kirby,
As presented.
I think the Kirby, did you?
Yeah, I make copies, the one
She-
pager.
She,
And then
she
the-
second. So I make the motion, the Kirby second.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Ms. Van,
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rodriguez. Ms. Marin. Ms. Valdez. Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Ms. Girola.
Yes.
Ms. Dunn.
No.
I'll vote no. Mr. De Jesus. Mr. I'm sorry, Ms. Senora Guadalupe.
Yes.
Senora Gonzalez.
Yes.
And Senora Mingus.
Yes.
No, it's just Senora Man.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
14
7,
menos
8, 9 votes in favor and motion passed.
Pero tienes que ir